You've been distracted for too long. You've been soft. You've let your phone, your fears, your doubts run your fucking life. Enough. Today you lock the Fcking. Today you decide, no more excuses, no more wasted hours. LOKTEFCKN, because the version of you're dreaming about, he's out there waiting, and he's getting impatient. You know what's crazy? Most of you in this room think you have time. You think you've got years to get it right. You're sitting there scrolling, laughing at stupid videos, wasting hours every single day like your life is guaranteed. Let me tell you something. They don't give a fcking about you. The world doesn't care if you make it or not. The clock's ticking, and you're bullshitting. That's the truth. And it hurts because deep down you know I'm right. I didn't get here by accident. I didn't just wake up in a mansion with supercars and money pouring out of the ceiling. I was broke. I was sitting in a shitty apartment in Luton with no heating, no hot water, staring at an empty account wondering how the FC I was going to eat that week. I remember eating instant noodles 3 times a day. I remember sitting in the dark because I couldn't pay the electricity bill. You think I was happy? You think I had people supporting me? No. Everyone around me told me to get a normal job, to settle, to give up on the dream because it was unrealistic. But there's one thing I had that most of you don't have right now. I was disgusted with myself. I looked in the mirror and hated the man staring back. Weak. Average. And I decided that version of me had to die. That's what locking in means. It means you cut the bullshit and tell yourself the truth. You're broke because you're lazy. You're weak because you skip the gym. You're average because you're doing what average people do. Netflix, video games, gossip, excuses. I get asked all the time, Tate, how do I get rich? How do I get strong? How do I change my life? And the first thing I tell them is stop wasting time. Stop doing dumb shit. Every hour you waste, your competition is working. While you're sleeping in, some 18-year-old kid in Dubai is grinding, learning skills, making money online. And one day he's going to fly past you in a Lambo while you're still arguing on Reddit about whose fault your life is. I had no safety net. I had no rich parents. When I decided to fight professionally, people laughed. When I started businesses and failed, people mocked me. But every single fucking day I got up and I worked. I sat on that broken couch in that freezing apartment with a cracked laptop and learned everything I could about making money online. I didn't party. I didn't watch TV. I didn't even see friends for months. I locked in. I sacrificed because I knew the life I wanted wasn't going to come from doing what everyone else was doing. And here's the part nobody wants to hear. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. You're going to suffer. You're going to fail. People are going to betray you. You'll get laughed at, called delusional, told to quit. That's the price. I remember losing fights early in my career and coming home covered in blood, staring at the ceiling thinking, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough. But then I'd get angry, I'd remember why I started, and I'd train harder. Because the only alternative was to stay a nobody forever. You need to understand something. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort is what keeps you soft, broke, invisible. The moment you start choosing comfort over discipline, you lose. When I was sleeping on that mattress, on the floor, freezing my ass off, I wasn't comfortable, but I wasn't supposed to be. That pain, that hunger, that's what built me. That's what forced me to level up. So here's what you do. You wake up tomorrow and delete the apps wasting your time. You stop saying, I'll start Monday, like F-King Clown. You get a notebook and write down exactly what you want. How much money, how much muscle, what car, what house, what life. Then you break it into daily actions. No more theory. No more waiting for motivation. You execute. Even if you're tired. Even if you don't feel like it. Because the man who keeps moving forward when it's hard, he wins. Every time. You don't have time to waste. You don't have years to figure it out. One day you're going to wake up at 40, broke, fat, depressed, and it'll hit you. You wasted your F-King 20s. And the worst part, Nobody's coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not me. You save yourself or you stay average forever. The reason most of you are stuck, lost, spinning your wheels is because you haven't even decided who the Fcking you are. You're walking around like a blank canvas, letting everyone else paint on you. Your parents painted on you. Your teachers painted on you. Society painted on you. And now you're just a mess of other people's opinions. No real identity, no mission. You're a passenger in your own life. That's why you're broke. That's why you feel empty when you're alone. I wasn't born knowing who I was either. I didn't come out of the womb with all this confidence and clarity. I grew up in a house where money was tight, watching my mom cry over bills. I saw the stress eat away at my family. I remember sitting there as a kid thinking, I never want to live like this. But just saying it isn't enough. Every broke loser says, I want to be rich while doing nothing but playing video games and wasting time. I had to make a real decision. When I was broke in my early 20s, sitting in that shut apartment, I had a moment where I asked myself, who the Fcking am I? Am I a man who's going to settle for this? Am I a man who's going to rot here watching others win while I make excuses? And I hated the answer. I hated the reflection in the mirror because it was weak. It was a guy who had potential, but no discipline. A guy who thought success would just magically happen without bleeding for it. That guy had to die, so I killed him. I decided to become someone else. I didn't care how long it would take, how much it would hurt. I wrote down the version of me I wanted. I wrote down the cars, the bank account, the power, the respect, the physical strength, the discipline. I visualized him so vividly that it burned into my brain. Then I told myself, that's who I fucking am now. And every action I take from this second forward needs to align with that man. But let me tell you something. They don't want you to find out who you are. They want you weak and confused. They want you addicted to comfort, to distractions, to approval. I had people in my life trying to pull me back every step of the way. Friends telling me I'd changed. Family asking why I was working so much. Women complaining that I didn't have enough time for them. They all wanted me to stay average because average makes them comfortable. I didn't listen. I cut people off. Cold. I had to. When you decide to level up, the old version of you can't survive. And neither can the people who only fit into that old version. It was lonely. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I spent nights alone grinding while my old friends were out partying. I trained in the gym with no one to spot me. I worked on business plans with no guarantee they'd ever work. But I'd rather be alone with a purpose than surrounded by sheep without one. That's the price. You don't get to become him, the man you're meant to be, without burning away everything holding you back. Most of you are too scared to do that. You're too scared to offend people, too scared to be alone, too scared to fail. So you stay stuck, pretending you're okay with being a spectator in life. I wasn't okay with it. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. That's the mindset. That's how I went from broke as Fcking, eating instant noodles, to a multimillionaire with cars, houses, and freedom. It started with a decision about identity. Once you choose who you are, every decision gets easier. The man I decided to be doesn't skip workouts. He doesn't waste time. He doesn't let fear control him. So when my alarm went off at 5 a.m., I didn't ask how I felt. I got up. When I failed in business, I didn't cry. I learned and pivoted. When life punched me in the face, I hit back twice as hard. You need to look in the mirror right now and decide. Are you going to keep living as the weak version of yourself? Or are you ready to kill that man and give birth to someone stronger, faster, smarter, and richer? Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Decide who you are, and then force reality to catch up. Nobody's coming to save you. You save yourself. You build yourself. You decide who the Fcking you are, and then you lock in and refuse to be anything less. Everyone wants to win, but nobody wants pain. That's why you're still stuck. You're addicted to comfort. You avoid discomfort like it's poison. Order at liquor something. But let me tell you something, the very thing you're running from is the key to everything you want. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the price of greatness. If you're not willing to pay it, stay broke, stay weak, stay forgotten. You think I got here without suffering. You think I built this life with nice cars, freedom, and power by feeling good all the time. Bullshit. I suffered more than you can imagine. There were nights I couldn't sleep because my stomach was growling from hunger. Days I trained until I could barely stand. Puking in the corner of a dusty gym because my body couldn't take any more. Times I stared at my bank account with a few coins left, knowing I couldn't afford a fucking sandwich, and thought, what if this is all I'll ever be? And do you know what I realized in those moments? That pain wasn't trying to destroy me. It was trying to forge me. Every setback, every failure, every brutal experience. It was sharpening my mind, hardening my will. Pain is the test life gives men to see who deserves to win. Most of you fail because the second it hurts, you quit. You feel a little tired at the gym, so you pack up. Your business struggles, so you close the laptop and go back to your 9 to 5. A girl breaks your heart, so you sit there crying for weeks instead of leveling up. Weak. I lost fights early in my career. Not just losses, embarrassments. Knocked to the canvas. Blood dripping down my face, my head spinning, the crowd laughing. People saying, he's not championship material. That shit burned. You know how easy it would have been to say, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough. But I didn't. I got back in the gym the next day. Even with bruised ribs and a split lip, I trained harder. Because I knew every second I spent in pain was building me into a man they couldn't Fck with. The truth is, pain teaches you things comfort never will. When your body screams and you keep going, you learn discipline. When you fail and stand back up, you learn resilience. When you sacrifice comfort for progress, you learn who the Fck you really are. Most of you have never even met yourselves because you've never been pushed to edge. You live soft lives shielded from adversity and wonder why you feel empty inside. When I was broke building businesses, I sat for 16 hours straight some days, eyes burning, fingers aching from typing. No music, no breaks, just grinding, and I failed again and again. But every failure taught me. Every painful lesson made me sharper. And one day, after years of suffering, things started clicking. Money started flowing in. People called me lucky. Lucky. They didn't see the nights I worked until my hands shook. They didn't see me training alone in freezing weather when my friends were partying. There's no luck here. Only pain, sacrifice, and relentless execution. So stop running from the struggle. Stop avoiding hard work because it's uncomfortable. Stop skipping workouts because they hurt. Start seeking out the pain. Start chasing it. You should want to be uncomfortable because that's where the growth happens. The gym isn't supposed to feel good. Business isn't supposed to feel easy. The path to success isn't supposed to be smooth. If it was, every loser scrolling on his phone would already be rich and ripped. This is why you must rewire your brain. Instead of saying, this hurts, I want to stop, you say, this hurts, I'm getting stronger. Instead of saying, this is hard, I can't do it, you say, this is hard. Good. It means I'm doing something worthwhile. Flip the script. Learn to love the suffering because it means you're leveling up. Pain doesn't last. But regret. That shot will eat you alive forever. One day, you'll wish you pushed harder. You'll wish you endured a little more. You'll wish you didn't quit when it got tough. But it'll be too late. So suffer now or suffer later. Either way, there's pain. Only difference is whether it leads to greatness or failure. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if it's hard. I don't care if nobody believes in you. Get up. Push forward. Embrace the grind. Because every second you're in pain, you're getting closer to becoming a man nobody can ignore. And that's worth every drop of blood, sweat, and tears. Pain is the Fcking price. Pay it. Execution is everything. Nothing else matters. Not your plans, not your ideas, not your potential. The world doesn't give a F say how smart you are, how talented you think you are, or how big your dreams are. You either execute or you don't. You either put in the work or you get left behind. I know what it's like to have big ideas. When I was broke in my 20s, I sat in my freezing apartment with notebooks full of plans. Business models, strategies, dreams of cars and mansions, but none of it meant shop without action. I could have sat there for years fantasizing about success while eating instant noodles and staring at my cracked laptop. Instead, I started taking massive action. Was I ready? No. Did I have all the answers? No. But I moved anyway. That's where most of you fail. You order at liquor stores. You're waiting for the perfect time. You're waiting to feel ready, waiting for more information, waiting for motivation. Let me break it to you. There is no perfect time. You'll never feel ready. Life doesn't pause for you to get your shop together. You start now, or you never start at all. I failed more times than I can count. I built businesses that collapsed. I invested in projects that went nowhere. I got scammed. I lost fights early in my career, but I kept moving. I didn't sit there feeling sorry for myself. I didn't cry and quit because it hurt. I executed again and again. I adjusted. I improved. I attacked the problem from a new angle, because the man who refuses to stop, he's dangerous. Eventually, he can't lose. Most of you are too emotional to execute. You let feelings dictate your actions. I'm tired. I don't feel like working today. It's too hard. You act like the world cares about your feelings. It doesn't. Success doesn't care. Your competition doesn't care. While you're lying in bed negotiating with yourself, someone else is out there taking massive action. And one day you'll watch him live the life you wanted while you're stuck exactly where you are. When I was training to fight, there were mornings I couldn't even lift my arms because my muscles were so destroyed from the day before. My body told me to rest. My mind told me to quit. But I showed up anyway. I trained anyway. I bled anyway, because I understood something most men never will. Feelings are irrelevant. Execution is all that counts. You need to stop being soft. Stop asking how you feel. Stop needing everything to be perfect. Winners don't need perfect conditions. They just move. They make decisions fast. They execute relentlessly. They stack actions day after day until the results are undeniable. That's how empires are built. Not in a single moment of brilliance, but in thousands of boring, painful, disciplined actions no one ever sees. I remember building my online businesses. There were nights I worked 16 hours straight. No parties. No distractions. Just me, the screen, and a burning hatred of the life I was living. I didn't have the luxury of balance. I didn't have time to second guess myself. Every minute mattered, because I knew if I slowed down, if I let comfort creep in, I'd stay broke forever. You can make excuses or you can make progress. You can't do both. And most of you are addicted to excuses. It's not the right time. I don't have the resources. It'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is for losers. Tomorrow is how average men kill their dreams. You do it now. You lock in now. You execute now. And here's the reality. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your boss, not me. You're alone in this. Either you build your life brick by brick with your own two hands, or you'll be sitting in the same spot a decade from now wondering why nothing changed. You want a better body. Train like a machine, no feelings, no skip days. You want money. Work your Fcking face off, no distractions, no breaks, no excuses. You want freedom. Pay the price in blood, sweat, and years of sacrifice. There's no other way. Stop chasing motivation. Stop crying about how unfair life is. Stop talking and start moving. Execution isn't sexy. It isn't fun. It's painful, repetitive, and lonely. But it's the only way. You either stack actions or you stay broke and invisible forever. So shut up. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Take action now, and don't stop until the world has no choice but to notice you. Stop dreaming. Stop wishing. Stop waiting. The stronger, richer, sharper version of you isn't coming to save you. He's waiting for you to wake the feck up and Leokitian. So do it. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Right. Feckin'. Everyone's obsessed with motivation these days. They sit there scrolling Instagram, watching some flashy video with music and a six-pack, thinking, yeah, now I feel inspired. But 2 hours later, they're back on the couch, chips in one hand, phone in the other, doing FCK all. Let me tell you the cold, hard truth. Motivation is a scam. It's an emotion. It's fleeting. You can't build an empire on something that disappears the second life punches you in the face. The winners aren't the ones who are motivated. They're the ones who are disciplined. Discipline is the only thing that will save you. When I was broke, sitting in that freezing apartment with no heating, no hot water, and no money for food, do you think I felt motivated? You think I was inspired when I stared at my bank account and saw Euro 37? Feck no, I wasn't motivated, I was angry. I was cold. I was hungry, but I still got up and worked. I sat at that shutty-cracked laptop and figured out ways to make money online. I trained until my knuckles bled because I knew I had to become dangerous in the ring if I ever wanted a shot at a fighting career. I didn't wait to feel good about it. I didn't need hype music or some guy screaming, "You got this, bro," through my headphones. I just fecking did it. That's what discipline is. Doing what you said you do, long after the mood you said it in has gone. It's showing up every single day like your life depends on it. Because it does. I fought professionally for years. And let me tell you, there were days I was exhausted, battered, bruised, my body screaming at me to quit. But my opponent didn't care if I felt tired. Life doesn't care if you're tired. So I showed up anyway. I trained anyway. I bled anyway. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. At first, it's hard. You'll have to drag yourself out of bed. You'll have to force yourself to turn off the Xbox, to leave the party, to say no to your friends, and it'll suck. But then something magic happens. It becomes who you are. It becomes automatic. People ask me now, how do you stay consistent? I don't even think about it anymore. I don't need motivation because this is just my identity now. The man I became doesn't skip work. He doesn't skip training. He doesn't waste time. He's relentless. Most of you fail because you let your feelings run your life. You wake up and think, I don't feel like working today. So you don't. You think, I don't feel like going to the gym. So you don't. Do you think the world gives a FCK about how you feel? Do you think your competitors are skipping days because they're tired? No. While you're curled up in bed, somebody else is grinding, building, stacking, and one day he's going to take everything you thought you deserved. I remember failing over and over. My first business attempts flopped. I lost fights early in my career. People laughed at me. They told me I was wasting my time. But discipline kept me going. I didn't quit. I didn't sit there feeling sorry for myself. I analyzed what went wrong, made adjustments, and kept swinging. That's why I won. Not because I was the strongest, not because I was the smartest, but because I refused to F-kicking stop. Discipline gives you power. It makes you unstoppable. It's what separates the weak from the strong. Weak men wait until they feel good to take action. Strong men act whether they feel good or not. That's why they win. If you take one thing from this, let it be this: stop negotiating with yourself. Stop asking how you feel. Stop giving yourself a way out. You're not always going to feel like it. Who cares? Do it anyway. Build the habit of showing up every single day, no matter what. Stack those days and watch how your life changes. There's a reason you're hearing this right now. Deep down, you know you've been soft. You know you've been relying on motivation, and that's why you keep starting and stopping. Break the cycle. Build discipline. Become a machine. Most of you are failing because you keep giving yourself an escape route. You've got plan B, plan C, safety nets, fallback plans. And then you wonder why your plan A never works. You wonder why you keep quitting when shit gets hard. It's because deep down, you're giving yourself permission to fail. You're leaving the door open to run when it hurts. And let me tell you something. The moment you leave yourself an option, you're already fucked. When I was broke, freezing in that Luton apartment, staring at my cracked laptop, trying to make my first dollar online. There was no backup plan. I wasn't going to go beg for a 9 to 5. I wasn't going to go back to being another invisible, broke man in the system. I didn't tell myself, well, if this doesn't work, at least I'll still have. No, there was no still have. There was win or starve. That's it. And that's why I won. When Herne Concordis landed in Mexico, he burned his ships. His men said, "What the FCK are you doing? How will we get home?" He said, "We're not going home. We win or we die." That's how empires are built. That's how warriors think. And that's how I approached my life. When I started fighting professionally, I wasn't some gifted golden child. I wasn't born with perfect genetics or unbeatable skill. I was a lanky kid getting his ass handed to him in early sparring sessions. I got knocked down. I got humiliated. I got my nose broken, ribs cracked. I came home one night after a fight I lost, covered in my own blood, and sat on my bed thinking, is this worth it? Maybe I'm not built for this. That's the voice of weakness. That's the voice of plan B creeping in. And I killed it. I told myself, there is no going back. I win or I'm nothing. I become a champion or I die trying. You think I felt good every day after that? You think I wasn't scared walking into fights, knowing I could be knocked out in front of hundreds of people? Of course I was, but fear doesn't control me. Discomfort doesn't stop me. Pain doesn't break me. Because when you remove the option to quit, when you tell yourself there's no plan B, the only way is forward. Most of you don't have what you want because you're too soft to burn the ships. You keep one foot in and one foot out. You tell yourself, I'll try this business, but if it doesn't work, I can always get a job. Or, I'll go to the gym. But if I don't see results in 3 weeks, I'll stop. That's why you never get anywhere. You don't need a backup plan. You need to commit like a man on fire. You need to make success the only possible outcome. When I first started making money online, I wasn't good at it. I made mistakes. I got scammed. I lost time and effort on things that flopped. But I didn't say, well, I guess this isn't for me. I didn't Fcking fold. I pivoted, I adapted, I learned. I stayed locked in because I had no safety net. I was all in, and I was willing to die on the hill of my goals if I had to. That's the level of commitment you need if you ever want to escape mediocrity. It's not just about money either. It's about every part of your life. Fitness, relationships, discipline, purpose. You keep telling yourself you'll give it a shot. You'll try. You'll see how it goes. No, you don't try. You do. You commit fully or you don't bother at all. Try is a word for weak men. Strong men decide. Strong men lock in and don't stop until the job is done. I've burned bridges. I've cut off people who were dead weight. I've walked away from comfort and certainty because I knew staying there would kill the man I wanted to become. And yeah, it was uncomfortable. It was terrifying at times. But you know what's more terrifying? Waking up at 40 broke, fat, invisible, and realizing you wasted your youth playing it safe. So here's the reality check. You either burn the ships now and force yourself to fight like hell, or you stay soft forever. Nobody's coming to hand you success. Nobody's going to drag you to the top. It's on you. You either commit fully or you lose.